Our Beacon Hill studio, where BB's got something heavy.
I do indeed, Kim Kerrigan. Cosmo Macero of O'Neill and Associates, fresh off of his appearance at the Soundgarden concert on Sunday.
Very good show.
Nice to see them back.
Tight as a drum after a dozen years not touring and 15 years without an album. They were great.
Peter Cadges of the Boston Phoenix. Last concert you saw Peter, Paul, and Mary, I'm guessing?
Beethoven.
There you go. Well, that was going back now. Gentlemen, a lot to get to, including Harry Potter in a minute, Peter Cadges, since you wear the glasses. First, though, let's talk about President Obama and this debt crisis, Cosmo. August 2nd is the date, but apparently the deadline is now. He tells us yesterday in a press conference, here's my plan. The Republicans are not going along with that plan. Are we heading to some sort of catastrophe, or is this always the case in Washington? Whew, at the last second we were able to strike a deal.
I think it we'll take it as about as close as it's been on something like this, the debt ceiling, but I believe it will be resolved. It has to be.
So who gives?
I think both sides will give a little bit to make a compromise happen. I think that's happened in the past, and that's what's going to have to happen.
Well, here. Obama has already given. I mean, they're willing to do, bigger cuts now than the Republicans are, trillions. And he has said that he wants basically 25% of the revenue reduction to come from new taxes and 3/4 of it coming from cuts. And he's been willing to defy his own party to do it.
I'm sort of with Boehner on that. I don't even get the phrase revenue reduction from new taxes. How is that a revenue reduction when you're calling for new revenue, Cosmo?
It doesn't make any sense.
Well, it does make. It does make. In other words, you're projecting forward for many years. How much more money is the government going to be spending and taking in? So they're saying we're going to, we have this target. We're going to achieve that target by cutting spending by 3/4, by a percent.
I get the abstract.
And then we're going to raise the rest of the money.
Isn't Boehner the guy here, Cosmo?
It comes down to the overtime reduction of the increase in spending, which then is called a cut, which of course isn't a cut.
Boehner is the guy here because he has said from the beginning there will be no new taxes. Obama continues to say, okay, I'll do this else, but I need the new taxes. Boehner's the guy that's got to yield, and he doesn't have to yield, Cosmo, because he's not facing a 2012 re-election that he's got to worry about.
No, that's true. I guess I think it's a matter of what they what they'll consider a revenue enhancement or what they call a certain type of tax, and can there be a compromise in there? And I think that's what it's going to come down to.
Definitely gets done, and there's going to be a little something for everybody, is what you're telling me.
I think it'll definitely be done. The contours of it, I'm just not sure.
If I was Boehner, I would not blink, because Obama's history tells us that he talks tough. He talks tougher as the deadline looms, and then he blinks. He's done it several times, including last December. So why would you blink now, Cosmo?
I think he knows that the president's not afraid to defy his own party in the name of landing a victory for what for the country, and in the name of landing a victory for policy. So I think he knows that.
He says yesterday in his press conference that, as a way to say that we all got to do something we don't want to do, it's time for us to eat our peas. First question, either of you have a problem with peas?
Well, only if they're locally grown peas, locavore peas.
I'm not a big pea-eating guy, but if you're going to use an illustration or an image to suggest that you need to take your medicine or your punishment,
this is going to be unpalatable, yeah.
You may go with broccoli or spinach, both of which I actually prefer to peas. But that's
broccoli is the Bush era vegetable.
Yeah.
The famous joke was, I think it was Evie White, I say it's spinach and I say the hell with it, or James Thurber. There was a New Yorker cartoon.
Huh.
So spinach.
Let's move right along, shall we?
If I'm eating shepherd's pie, I take those.
Did you get that joke at all?
I'm still trying to catch up.
Remind me not to ever subscribe to the New Yorker. Not that I ever was going to. Let's move on quickly.
Brighter viewers got it.
Okay, let's talk about the guy in the corner office, Deval Patrick. Got himself in a bit of a quandary in relation to his transportation secretary, Jeff Mullan, who we find out over the weekend. There's a policy at the transportation department now, Cosmo, not to put anything squeamish in writing anymore. We'll have a meeting about it. We'll talk about it, but let's not write about it. This in the era of new transparency up here in Beacon Hill, and you see where the problem lies.
That's the old
never write when you can speak.
Never write when you can speak. Wink, don't nod. Nod, don't wink, etc. I think the governor has said in the past that he's going to be tough on this cabinet secretary if there continue to be problems.
Said he felt his burn once before and he won't do it again.
Felt the burn once before. So at some point you got to fulfill that pledge you've made publicly. Now he's also issued a public vote of confidence, which I guess is a good thing for Jeff Mullan. But another reading of that is once a public vote of confidence is necessary, it often means, hey, you know what? It's time to start.
Yeah, that's the question.
It's time to start looking around.
In 6 months, is Mullan out, Peter?
I was going to say, I think there's a question in the standard exam at the Kennedy Institute for Government, and it begins, what does the phrase a vote of confidence mean? I would answer it means you've got 6 more months in the job, so start sending your resumes.
Ironic, though, because we always rip Beacon Hill for not doing what we have to do in the private sector, and yet I would argue Mullan is doing exactly what all of us do in the private sector is, if it's at all squeamish, don't put it in writing, and yet he's in deep trouble for this.
Well, anyone who puts anything in writing that they don't have to, whether in the public or private sector, should have their head examined. However, I think in the public sector, it's, do you put something in writing to avoid a lawsuit or something, or is there any duplicity in not putting it in writing?
I'm not sure if I entirely agree. I think in the private sector, in many cases, there are many things, important things, that must be memorialized in writing for the record, even in emails and so forth. Now, the appearance here is that this policy is designed to avoid public records disclosure, subpoena, and all kinds of things. So in the public sector, I think it's more troublesome.
It is. What's really troublesome is you never have a policy about it.
We're out of time, Peter. Unfortunately, we're not going to get to the Harry Potter, but as we go to break, if you want to have one of those tears coming down.
It's an end of an era, and I can't wait to see it.